Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome again to our all recovery meeting. I am Craig, one of your recovery coaches, and today we're going to be getting right into it because got a lot of things that we want to talk about, and I'll let my man right here introduce himself.
I'm Carl. How you guys doing today?
And we got somebody that's with us today. Who are you?
Kevin.
It's Kevin. Kevin, that's right. And so I call him Kev, it's short, so excuse my friend. And so, so we're gonna be talking about people in addiction recovery, 10 most common challenges. This is our all recovery meeting, and this article is brought to you by Ethan Crossing, Springfield.com. Go online, you want to pull this article out, please do so. And so I'm going to read the introduction, then we're going to get right into it. It says that addiction is a very powerful mental health situation. And if you are addicted to drugs, alcohol, and other toxic behaviors, even if you want to, you might find it difficult to break free. It affects the brain in ways that make quitting difficult, both physically and mentally. Some people believe that addiction rehabilitation just entails abstaining from drugs and alcohol, but treating addiction also requires therapy and special care. Addiction can stem from several factors, and some of them are family history of addiction, genetic predisposition, peer pressure, taking a highly addictive drug, etc. All right? And so the article goes on to say and asks us the question, what is an addiction? Addiction is the inability to stop using a substance or engaging in a certain toxic behavior, even when it is causing physical and psychological harm. Right? It says the term addiction not only refers to the dependence on substances like cocaine or heroin, it can come in other forms. Recovery is not a journey to be embarked on alone. We are here to support you every step of the way, from detox to aftercare. So you can contact us here at Capital Recovery Center. We'll be glad to assist in that process. And so let's get down to the meat and potatoes. What are some common challenges faced by people with addiction? There are several challenges people face when recovering from addiction. The most common of them are, and we're going to go into the first one, developing new coping strategies.
I'll read it.
All right.
Several people suffering from addiction use drugs and alcohol as a crutch to help them deal with emotional issues. During rehabilitation, this crutch is removed and you'll be forced to deal with the trauma and shame without the use of these addictive substances, as this can be very hard. People recovering from addiction will have to deal with challenges head on, which would require a personal decision and a lot of bravery. Therapists help you focus on building your confidence and introduce different strategies to help you overcome their challenges. Achieving long-term sobriety isn't only about quitting alcohol and drugs use. It is about developing a lifestyle that supports your recovery journey. Fortunately, you can learn new coping strategies through cognitive behavioral therapy, yoga therapy, and music therapy.
So number two. All right. Kev, you feel like reading number two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Building new relationships and repairing old ones. Usually when facing addiction problems, your relationships are usually the first to be affected. Your priorities will focus solely on drugs and alcohol, and all your responsibilities will be neglected. You might even start to steal from loved ones to feed your addiction, leading to fights. However, social support is an important part of recovery, and making amends with friends and family help overcome the destructive behaviors exhibited in the past. In rehab, you'll learn to build new relationships and also make amends with old friends, even though it might take months or years. Your recovery is tied to this process.
Your recovery is tied to this process, making amends and making new friends. All right. And so we're going to go into number 3. This is real major for a lot of people. And I really believe this is why so many people relapse. Boredom, right? We get bored, then we try to find something to fill the gap for the void of being boredom.
Yep.
Right? And so it says during the treatment program, people are constantly surprised by how challenging boredom is in recovery. Treatment programs have a daily schedule that consists of group meetings, and that's no lie. When I was in therapeutic community, peer recovery, we did group 7 days a week, all day long until nighttime.
When I first got clean, they say, you know, stay busy.
Stay busy.
Because, you know, boredom and time, man, it can be dangerous. And I try to, I mean, take it easy, but I got a job, you know, I go into meetings, call people. I had to stay busy, man, because boredom, you get up in that head, and it's a dangerous place.
That's right. Once you start thinking the wrong thoughts anyway. So we want to play
on that crutch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it said treatment programs have a daily schedule that consists of group meetings, personal reflection, leisure, meals, and exercise. After completing rehab and returning home, you may find yourself dealing with boredom, which can be a threat to sobriety, right? So it says, since all your free time was consumed by using drugs and alcohol in the past, you'll have to learn how to use your time in other ways. You can pick up reading, playing sports, meditating, enrolling in a sober living program, working, or starting up a new hobby. Leaving the gap open is very dangerous and would most likely lead to a relapse. However, coping with this is about being patient and deploying smart behavioral strategies so your brain can adapt to your new life, right? And so replacing, we call that positive reinforcement, and that is to replace old negative thinking with positive ones, and the end result, we will come out with better results through our behavior. And so the article says picking up reading, you know, before we was using drugs, so now we find new methods of how to keep ourselves busy and how to cope and to better our behavioral lifestyle. And it could be new hobbies, working, sober living program.
This is giving you outlets. This is giving you outlets for a new way of life. You know, healthy outlets. You know,
That's right.
And, small things, people, places, and things. You know,
Decision making.
Yeah.
You know, we are a lot of times we are I want to say victim of our choices that we make. So if we make wrong or bad decisions, we're gonna get bad results.
And consequences.
Consequences.
They're always there.
The ABC.
They're
Right.
always there. Yeah.
Always there. A is the activating event. B is the self-talk or belief system. And C is what we call the consequences. ABC module or ABC
Like
method.
that. Yeah.
They're easy. So it's, if you can remember the ABCs, you know, the activating event, how you perceive the event that's before you. What are some of the self-thoughts that I'm having about the event that before me? If I'm perceiving it in a positive way or I'm taking it in a negative way. So if I see it in a negative way, most likely my consequences or my behavior is going to be negative. But if I look at it in a positive way and perceive it, so the self-thought that I'm having to myself, I'm doing an assessment, I'm saying, you know what, maybe that person is having a bad day. And so let me not say that, you know, this person has been, you know, a bad person. Let me say, well, you might be having a bad day. And so then I may respond to that person a different way than I would and say, you know what, man, confrontational, you know what I mean? So
we're used to that, you know, that confrontation and how we perceive ourselves too. is
Mhm.
a big thing. I'm no good,
Yeah.
bad talk about ourselves.
Self-talk.
Yeah, self-talk,
Mhm.
I'm no good, I ain't never gonna be any good,
Mhm.
and that's what it's gonna be. And I've done that myself,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be an addict for the rest of my life. I'm probably gonna die this way.
Right.
And I kept on doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
But our core beliefs are what we was taught as before, prior to picking up using drug or alcohol. Most likely we have good values, good
Mhm.
principles,
Yes.
good morals, good ethics, all these good things. And so our core belief can be our self-talk and say, you know what? I'm not going to believe the naysayers say that I never amount to nothing. I'm never going to be anything. I know who I am. I have value, self-worth. I'm a loving individual,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And I want to pass this on to others. All right? So number 4, you got a cat?
Yep.
I mean, excuse me, Carl.
That's all right.
All these K's in here, get me mixed up.
Relapse. Addiction is a chronic disease, and relapse is very common in this case. Stress, anxiety, old friends, and cravings for alcohol and drugs can be a serious threat when you're trying to remain sober. However, having a relapse shouldn't make you feel like a failure. You only have to minimize the damage and try again. Fortunately, we have tell a bit. I can't say that word. There you go. Thank you.
Mhm.
Process is designed to help you establish life skills, develop a mentor or peer support system, and modify unhealthy behavior. Nobody's perfect, and it might take more time to achieve good results.
Mhm. Now we cook. Okay. All right. So we just read relapse. And so we just covered how many? 4
Yep.
4 articles or 4 common challenges that people face while in addiction. Developing new coping strategies was 1. Building new relationships and repairing old ones. 2. Boredom is number 3. 4 is relapse, and 5 is care. You got it?
Yes, sir. Finding the purpose. An addict's sole purpose is to abuse drugs and alcohol. When this purpose is no longer in existence, it can be very challenging for them. It isn't just about finding something to do, it is about finding a purpose in life. Discovering a purpose is never easy, and it can be hard for someone recovering from substance abuse. Introducing them to creativity, learning, or even parenting are useful ways to help find them a purpose in their lives.
Wow.
Hmm.
Digging into the creativity of oneself. We just talked about values, doing an assessment of who you are as an individual. How can you improve upon your lifestyle daily, and helping others along the way is very important. And so we did number 3. We did number 4 was relapse. And we stay abreast and we stay afloat. Number 5, finding your purpose. Now we're on number 6, transitioning out of rehab and back home. Transitioning from a treatment facility into an independent life of sobriety is more challenging than many people realize. You go from a sheltered and supportive environment back to the same environment where you learn all these vices. So true. Meeting with old associates or other people suffering from addiction will interrupt your recovery process, and resistance is very difficult. I can attest to that. Resistance can be very difficult if you're put back into the same environment around the same old people that you're accustomed hanging around, because changes can be very challenging. That's what I want to say. Changes can be very challenging because a lot of time we get accustomed to what's come natural or easy.
We don't like change.
Yeah, we don't want to, challenge ourselves. And so I come to believe that when something appears to be hard, I see it as a challenge that I should at least try to overcome that, which and a lot of times it be fear.
Fear
You know,
based. Mine is lot of learning recovery is a lot of it's fear based.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely. And fear can stifle us, stagnate us, keep us from
Locked up.
being able locked up, being able from moving from point A to point B. You know, so a lot of times we may say, "Oh man, I never did that before. I don't think I could do that." Well, of course, if you don't try, you know,
You're not gonna succeed.
you ain't gonna succeed. So a lot of times I learned, don't be afraid to fail, because that's how you learn through our failures. You know, say, okay, I tried it, because just like riding a bike, you was afraid to get on the bike,
Mhm.
but you got on there, you bumped your head 4 or 5 times, they ain't stop you. You say, man, I want you to take these training wheels off. I'm
There
ready.
you go.
I'm ready to go. So just like with life, we're gonna take these training wheels off. All right. And so where I'm at. For that reason, transitional care is very important. This might come in the form of intensive outpatient programs, right? IOP, a sober living environment, right? Oxford House, sober living house, managing responsibilities at home, and handling financial obligations. All right, let's get into number 7. Call.
Gotcha.
I said it right this time, made sure.
7, strong cravings for the substance. Cravings pose a huge problem when recovering from addiction, since it was these same cravings that led you into active addiction. However, coping with it when you have decided to never use drugs and alcohol again can be hard, since it comes as a command that can be difficult to refuse. In dealing with cravings, you have identified and avoid triggers, and also develop behavioral and emotional regulation strategies that will help distract the cravings and keep you present. These strategies can be a new skill or fun activity, and even though it can be difficult at first, consistently doing it will become a habit. Also, having a supportive environment can be very helpful to your recovery.
Very important in your recovery, right?
And that's why we're here. Support.
Support.
You know?
This is a support group. We're here to help each other, you know, whether we're in long-term recovery, short-term recovery, however it may be, or if you're just contemplating of starting the recovery process, we are here at Capital Recovery Center to help you. And so we're going to deal with number 8. This is so crucial for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kev, you got it?
Sir, money problem.
Money problems. Big one here.
Yes. Addiction can be very hard on your finances. Funding your addiction will cost money, but losing your income, incurring high interest debts, and paying for legal and medical expenses will be much worse. It can be very frustrating to come out of treatment feeling you have made the best decision by turning your life around, only to discover your finances in complete chaos. This alone certainly can lead to the depression.
Mm-hmm. And it can be very frustrating and discouraging for a lot of people, you know, because now you have to step up to the plate and take on responsibilities. And so we like to encourage people that even though you may find a job and the job might don't be the ideal job, don't allow that to get you frustrated to the point where you want to quit. Whereas now, when you know, looking for a paycheck weekly or bi-weekly, now you don't have nothing coming in. So that leaves a lot of strain on the household, family, on you. And so we don't want you to take on the idea that this ain't working out, I'm gonna give up. No, me and Kev was just talking about it, right?
Yeah.
And Kev, you know, he worked third shift, and you know, like he says, you know, the work ain't hard. It's strenuous to the point where he's on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
However, he said, I'm gonna stick in there until I'm gonna make my way where I find a position where I'm very comfortable at, or I'll stay in there until something better comes along.
Well, a lot of things that I've seen too over the years is like money can hold back from your recovery to get better. Like people don't want to go to treatment or detox because they have responsibilities. They got homes, they got families, they got jobs, and
Yeah.
they don't want to leave them because they got a life, right? But your recovery must come first,
Mhm.
right? And some jobs, that's where you make your money at, but people are using that job, or
Mhm.
some people are drinking. And as an addict, that can be tough.
Yeah, that
That
can
can
be
be
very
triggers and
challenging.
stuff like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I need money to survive. Of course, but it's going to jeopardize your recovery and stuff like that. There's got to be other pathways and routes
You got
to go.
So and that's a good point that you make, Carl, because like you said, you can get on a job and when we take our lunch break, our coworkers, it may be a few of them, they may after work, they may all get together and go out
Yep.
and
Yep.
drink. And then, some jobs, on the lunch break, they might go out and do whatever they do. And so now our coping skills come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to associate? Do I want, to be in that circle?
Right.
Even though I may be looked upon, as someone. And that's when we were talking about it's very scary, right? When we were just reading where it says it's
Dragons.
yeah, it's very scary when it comes to telling people that we're not going to participate in that behavior. And I'm trying to find where it was at, where we was talking about earlier, craving, keep present, emotional, refuse. I think it was over here, resistance.
Sits at, wait, hold on, let's see. Here we go, I think it is. However, coping with it when you have decided to never use drugs and alcohol again can be hard, since it comes as a command that can be difficult to refuse. Is that what you're saying, or
Mhm.
that's the cravings part?
Yeah, but anyway, just having the courage to say, man, you know what, or having the coping skill to say, I know if I go with them guys right there, 9 times of the time I'm gonna pick up and use.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I go over here with the other guys over here who I know they ain't using, chances are I'm not gonna pick up. So we have to be selective of who we allow ourselves to be around. Even though it might sound more fashionable to be around with so-called the in crowd,
Yeah.
the cool people who
We don't like to be looked upon.
Yeah,
And we like to be a part of, not
the
the
outcasts.
outside. Yeah,
Yeah,
outcast.
Right. And so I remember listening to this podcast, and the guy said when he was going to school, he was looked at as an outcast. He said, but one of the counselors told him, said, you know what, you was created to not to fit in, but to stand out.
I like that.
In other words, you're gonna shine better than those guys who saying that you are an outcast or you're not part of the in crowd. They're gonna maybe die off, or they may get in because of their behavioral consequences. They may get into something. But if you go over here and stand out, or stand alone, or stand with some other people, your chances are you're gonna shine like a dime.
That's what I always say. It goes back to childhood and being a kid. Because like for me, being a kid, you want to be having friends, you want to be popular, you want to be, part of your surroundings and stuff like that. And some of your surroundings is not too healthy.
Not too healthy.
And like I said, a lot of things do happen from look at it as a kid perspective.
Yeah, because now you want to win the popularity contest.
Yeah.
And the race ain't to the swift. The race is to those who endure to the end. Y'all remember the old cartoon? I don't know how old y'all are, but I remember watching the turtle in the head.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, you heard about
I
it?
heard about
Yeah, these are big Cam know, the turtle in the hair. And so the hair he took off, he was flying. But the turtle, he took his time.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady.
Slow
a shade to be.
Yes,
That's
slow
what
and
he said.
steady. And then when it came to the finish line, that turtle, he
Yeah.
made it through. That hair, he was so tired.
Uh-huh.
He went all around and cuts, making shortcuts and this, that, and the
Yeah.
third. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get into number 9. Mental health issues. Most people with substance abuse issues have recurring mental health issues. A good treatment program would identify these issues and begin treatment. Since managing them is important to one's recovery. However, there are some people who try to get sober on their own by going to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or NA, Narcotics Anonymous meeting, which brings relief to their mental health issues. Therefore, recovery to last, mental health therapy is very necessary.
Sure is.
Very necessary to treat if you have a recurring issue, to treat number 9, mental health issues. So we are at the 10th one,
Mhm.
and Carl gonna take us on home.
10, loneliness. People who are new to recovery always face the dilemma. You are aware that you're hanging out with old friends who do drugs and drink. Will suck you back into the past you are trying to run from, but you don't have new friends yet, and so you feel lonely constantly. Loneliness is a big challenge, and it can lead to depression, anxiety, and boredom, all of which are a problem for your recovery. As stated earlier, social connection is a very important part of recovery, and the best way to deal with it is by having friends and family by your side.
All right, and so we went through all 10 of the challenges that one face in recovery, and so people in addiction recovery, 10 most common challenges that people face, and we covered every last one of them. And so until next week, we will be here at the same time, and I'm not sure you'll see me, Carl, or Kevin, but someone will be on your screen. All right, tell a friend to subscribe, share, like, give us some feedback. Until then, take care. All right, and so we're going to sign off.